It began with a jolt beneath the ground, but its impact stretched across nations. On March 28th, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck central Myanmar, just northwest of the capital Naypyidaw. Its epicenter lay near the Sagaing region, a seismically volatile zone riding the boundary between the Indian and Sunda tectonic plates. The tremor was shallow, only around 10 kilometers deep, a factor that greatly intensified surface-level destruction. Within seconds, the quake buckled roads in Naypyidaw, shattered concrete structures, and sent residents fleeing into the streets. It struck at a devastating moment, Friday prayer time, when mosques across the region were filled with worshippers. Then came the aftershock. Just minutes later, a 6.4 magnitude quake rocked the same area. The U.S. Geological Survey confirmed multiple aftershocks rippling across the region for hours. The ground shook in Thailand, and in Bangkok, tragedy followed. In the city's northern district, a 30-story under-construction government office tower collapsed entirely. Steel twisted, concrete slabs pancaked. At least 43 construction workers were inside. Many remained trapped. Witnesses described panic in the capital. People ran from office towers. Alarms blared. Elevators froze. The metro and rail lines were shut down, and power outages swept across several Bangkok neighborhoods. Thailand's Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin was forced to cut short a southern visit and return to the capital. An emergency was declared in Bangkok. Authorities warned of aftershocks and urged the public to stay outdoors. In a country with limited experience of large earthquakes, fear spread quickly. Bangkok's rapid vertical growth has outpaced its seismic preparedness. Many high-rise buildings, especially older or under-construction ones, lack robust earthquake-resistant frameworks. But while Bangkok's skyline bore scars, Myanmar was the epicenter of destruction. The military-led government declared emergencies in 6 regions: Sagaing, Mandalay, Magway, Naypyidaw, Chin, and Kachin. These areas lie along or near the Sagaing Fault, one of Southeast Asia's most active seismic zones, stretching over 1,200 kilometers. Hospitals in Sagaing and Mandalay were overwhelmed, roads cracked, ceilings collapsed in schools, mosques, and monasteries. Water pipelines burst, power lines fell, communications were cut off in rural townships. Worse still, Myanmar is already in deep humanitarian crisis. Since the 2021 military coup, the country has been engulfed in a civil conflict that's displaced over 2.6 million people. Many of those now affected by the quake live in temporary camps, under tarps and bamboo shelters, structures that stand no chance against seismic forces. In an unusual move, Myanmar's government issued a public international appeal for humanitarian aid, a rare step for a junta that has resisted foreign engagement for years. Meanwhile, tremors were felt far beyond Myanmar's borders. In China's southwestern Yunnan province, the quake was felt in cities like Ruili, Baoshan, and Lijiang. The Chinese government activated its Level 2 emergency response. Schools were evacuated, buildings inspected. So far, no casualties reported. But structural damage is still being assessed. Across the border in India, the quake's waves reached Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Mizoram, and further west into West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and Delhi NCR. Social media lit up with videos of swaying chandeliers and shaking apartment towers. But the Indian authorities reported no major injuries or structural failures. This isn't the first time the region has faced seismic catastrophe. In 1930, a 7.3 magnitude quake in Bago, Myanmar killed over 500 people. More recently, in 2011, a 6.8 magnitude quake in eastern Myanmar caused heavy casualties and left dozens of buildings in ruins. But today's quake is one of the strongest recorded in Myanmar in decades, and its timing couldn't be worse. The ongoing civil conflict, crumbling infrastructure, and the approaching monsoon season all compound the dangers. Mudslides, disease outbreaks, and aftershocks are real, immediate threats. International humanitarian organizations are now mobilizing. The ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance has issued an alert. The Red Cross, United Nations, and NGOs are preparing to enter affected zones if access is granted. In Bangkok, emergency crews are racing against time. Cranes dig through rubble. Sniffer dogs search for survivors. Families wait in anguish. The fate of the 43 trapped workers remains uncertain. And across Southeast Asia, one question lingers. Are we ready for the next one? Earthquakes don't respect borders. They don't wait for peace. They don't strike when it's convenient. From Myanmar to Thailand, from China to India, this was more than a quake. It was a wake-up call.